Arvida. Live the age you feel. Newstalk ZB.
I wish I was a rock star. Breaking all the girls' hearts. If I was Eddie Vedder.
It is 8:07. Catch-up time with Stephen Joyce, who for a while there, between 2008 2017, seemed to run a lot of stuff here. There was the broadband rollouts and the roading and the Fonterra scandals, a leadership challenge when John Key gave it away, and he might have mentioned a fiscal hole or two in his time as well. It is all in the book On the Record, from the days of radio to life after the Beehive, and Stephen Joyce is with us. Very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, and you seem to be well as well, from what I'm reading in your book. In other words, what you, in really simple terms, appear to be saying to us all is life post-politics is the best life possible.
It can be, yeah. I think it's a struggle initially, but yeah, no, it's great.
Why was it a struggle?
Because it's so intense while you're there. It's all-consuming, so intense, and I suppose purposeful as well. So initially, when you leave it, you're like, oh, what's the meaning of life? And why have I still got all this adrenaline rolling through my body and don't know what to do with it? And why am I waking up in ridiculous hours and all that stuff? But I'd sort of done that when I left radio as well, so I sort of recognised it.
See, it's a funny thing, because even though you did tangibly do some stuff that is still there, and that Pihi Road north of Auckland is a godsend. It's a life-changing transformation for that region.
Yeah, it reunites.
It's a brilliant piece of work, and that's yours. And you did that.
We funded it.
Yeah, but your government did it. So you can say I was there and I did that. Yeah. The other stuff that comes and goes in politics, really, what's the point?
It's a good question, because there is a reality that none of this is ever going to be finally resolved. You go into politics to sort of win some arguments, and then when you leave, you realise that the arguments are going to keep going on, because the world is divided. I think I say it in the book, roughly between sort of people who are more individualistic, who are more into getting on and doing things for themselves, and people who are more, for want of a better term, collective in their approach. And actually, we've all got a bit of each in us, probably. So when COVID came on, we were all a bit more collective, and then after COVID, we're all sort of wanting to strive and achieve again. Yeah. So you never completely win the arguments, but you hope to leave to butcher the phrase of a former Prime Minister, you hope to leave the place in a better space than when it arrived.
Indeed. In going for the leadership as you did, you write in the book that you were relieved when you didn't get it and Bill English got it. If you were relieved, did you know you would be relieved? And if you did know you were going to be relieved, why did you run?
Well, two things. Firstly, when Bill took it on, I was never going to run against Bill. I made up my mind at the start, there's no point. And we were in government, and you can't have number 2 and number 3 fighting to be the leader. So that wasn't, but it was really afterwards when Simon became the leader and I stood. No, I was prepared to do it. I think probably another way of describing it is I probably didn't want it enough.
Right.
But I needed to do it to prove, if I'd got it, I'd have given it everything, but I didn't get it. And so that made it easier in a way.
I think you make the point in the book that you didn't work the caucus enough, did you, because of who you were? And
I'm
the way
sure I didn't.
Yeah. And so there are two sorts of politicians, in my view. The people like you and Key, who came from the outside world and make your contribution, then get out one way or the other, and the people who are there basically for life. And they're the ones who know the system, are Machiavellian often, have the closets and the whole thing. And is that a fair assessment?
I think there are people that really want to be the leader. Really want to be the leader, and therefore, obviously, in a national Labour sense, want to be the Prime Minister. And I never wanted it that much. I really wanted to come in and make my contribution. So when I came in 2008, John said, why don't you come in and do a real job? I wanted to do some stuff and get some stuff done, and I got to do that. And it was a very privileged position, and I hope to sort of make the most of it and get some things done for people. And so it was never for me about sort of can I get to the top of the greasy pole?
Sure.
And I think it's easier when it's not that, actually.
100%.
Because you can hold on to it a little more lightly than some people.
My observation is that you and Key particularly, when you come in from outside and you are your own people and you've attained a certain level of success in your own right, you are free to do whatever you want based on the fact that you're comfortable with your own skin. You're not busy trying to prove yourself to everybody all the time. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think it is a bit. I think if you've done something else in life before you come in, then you're right. You you can. If it works out, it works out. And if it's not,
Exactly.
you're self-confident
Precisely.
enough that you can go and do something else again.
Yeah, exactly. So what people may or may not remember, there's two parts. Later on I'll talk about the radio days, but the other part people may not remember is you were Machiavellian in the background of the National Party there for a while before you became...
I don't think that's Machiavellian, Michael.
But you were the...
That's possibly slanderous.
You were the mover and the shaker, and you were the organiser, and you were doing stuff behind the scenes.
Well, we were trying to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Because it was a mess after 2002. It really was. And it didn't have it wasn't organised to fight MMP elections, because the National Party, by nature, people are individualistic. Win your electorate, and your job is done. And if enough people win enough electorates, you're there. That's first past the post. And then suddenly you're MMP, which is all about a national vote, a nationwide vote. And we just weren't set up to do it. I mean, I arrived in the National Party and there was literally 3 people in the office in Wellington, and one of them was only there part-time. He was a retired accountant. And it's like, you guys are going to try and run an election out of this?
Yeah.
So it was overdue for reorganising, and I helped do that.
How does that work within parties? Because, of course, if you can credit Luxon with one thing so far, he's tidied up the leaking and the backstabbing and stuff like that. How does it get to be like that? How do major parties fall apart?
I think probably after Bill left, there was too many people who thought they could do it, and perhaps that's I think in any organisation sometimes the people before you, particularly in the case of John, but also Bill, can make it look easy, and say, oh, I could do that, and then they find out they can't.
Brief break, and let's talk about radio in just a couple of moments. On the record, Stephen Joyce, more shortly, 8:13.
Never miss a beat. Stream your favourite stations and catch up with New Zealand's biggest podcasts on the free iHeartRadio app.
I started selling Wet and Forget to you, the home use, over 25 years ago. Since then, we've released a whole family of truly New Zealand-made products. And it's safe to say, New Zealanders' roofs, driveways, patios, decks are a whole lot cleaner because of it. We pride ourselves on making products that really work. And this comes from years of us using them commercially. Hence the catch cry, our products work, you don't. We use gentle chemistry, and we're insistent that nothing leaves our factory until we're totally satisfied it's ready for home use. So when you see the Wet and Forget name, you can be confident it's solid on its foundations, and if we sell it, that means we make it. Therefore, we're right behind it. So, if you're not yet part of the Wet and Forget family, come into one of our 21 stores around the country stocking only the products we make and see what Wet and Forget is all about.
I've got a matched online, arranged date, fresh haircut, fresh shoes, freshly shaved, drive to date, wait for date, no show, ultra consoling caramel marshmallow flat white. For Tim?
Thanks.
Order it your way on Z-App.
Wherever you are in Auckland, you can save thousands when you shop online at Trade Depot. Freestanding baths just $6.99, oven with cooktop sets just $4.99, washing machines just $2.89, stainless steel range hoods just $99. Shop online now at Trade Depot. With minimum spends, you can get free home delivery anywhere in Auckland. T's and C's apply.
TradeDepot.co.nz. Seize the day, make it terrific. Live on Lighthouse-Berwick.
Winter is here, and we all know what that means. Be proactive and stock up now on lipospheric vitamin C. People who know will tell you lipo with a Y is the one to buy. Shop at Unichem and Life Pharmacies, Chemist Warehouse, Health 2000 stores, Bargain Chemist, and online at Health Post. Read the label, take as directed. John Appleton, Auckland.
Live on Lighthouse-Berwick.
Please use your imagination for the following ad.
If I won Powerball, I'd plan to do something crazy like. And once I'd calmed down, I'd actually do something like.
Imagine winning $37 million this Wednesday. Play in store or online.
Ah, the first sip of McCafe. The sip that kickstarts your day. Opens the door to endless opportunities and the things that make a good day great. McCafe. Great things are brewing.
Newstalk ZB, 16 minutes past 8. The book is on the record. It's a look through the through the key years. But the other thing, Stephen Joyce is who we're talking to, of course. The other thing is that most people, I don't know whether they will have forgotten or never knew in the first place, you come from radio. Yeah. You're a radio man.
Absolutely.
And you're a major player. We're a major player in the radio industry in this country.
I suppose, eventually, yeah.
Well, it got big. You made your money in radio. It was fantastic. What's the magic of radio?
Oh, it's the one-to-one. Yeah, it's the ability to get inside people's heads and talk to them, I think. And also it's a wonderful medium because it's one of the few mediums that you can do while doing something else. You know, you're driving your car, you're listening to the radio. I mean, you can do podcasts, but I can't get into podcasts. Apologies to all podcast producers. But I struggle with that because, there's millions, and how do you find them? Yeah. And radio's presented to you in a much more sort of consumable way. Radio's a fantastic.
See, what I love about radio is essentially it hasn't changed. Yeah. What I'm doing here is what I did in 1982.
And everything else is fragmented and blown itself to bits.
Exactly.
And there's radio. Exactly. Still chugging along. I should have stayed.
And that was my next question. One, how do you leave? Yeah. And then having left, why don't you go back?
Well, how do I leave? It turns out to be quite dramatic. Somebody bought the company out from under me. It's in the book. So that's how I left. And it was a bit traumatic because it wasn't intended. It was just sort of, there goes the carpet. Would I go back? I don't know. I'm sort of a bit of a believer in life that once you've done stuff, you should go on and try something else.
But if something's taken away from you, see, I don't want to bring it back to myself, but inevitably I have. I can't see myself doing anything else. So clearly you're different. And so even if
life's full of adventures, isn't it?
Well, is it?
Well, yes, it is. Here's the thing. When I left, when radio, that thing happened to be in radio. So basically, Canadians came in and raided the company, and it was the end of the world. I was 38 years old. I'd never done anything else since I'd left uni, and what was I going to do? I loved radio, but then I wouldn't have had the chance to do all the politics and build the roads and do the broadband if I'd stayed in radio.
Yeah, but that's maybe because you're an exceptional individual, and most of us who lose our jobs in radio wouldn't get selected as an MP, far less to be the Minister of Finance.
A number have over the years, with mixed success.
But the radio business itself has a certain magic to it, doesn't it? It's full of it. Although I don't know that it's changed that much over the years. People sit around and talk about and go, oh, the good old days, not like it used to be. I think it probably is. I mean, it's a bit more sophisticated than it used to be in terms of technology and
it's
stuff.
Probably a bit more commercial and all that stuff. But it's probably right for a bit more innovation.
Yeah, exactly.
But it feels to me like there's opportunity there because you've now with digital you can be anywhere at any time. And so what does that mean? It is. It is a wonderful industry.
Did you ever want to be Minister of Broadcasting?
No.
Why?
Well, because my ideal Minister of Broadcasting would leave the hell alone.
Yeah, that was my next question. What's the government's role in it?
And actually, we were creatures of deregulation. I mean, Jonathan Hunt, who never struck me as a big deregulating minister, but he actually created the opportunity for our radio company to grow, and others, of course. We were just the ones that grabbed it. Yeah. And I think New Zealand radio was far better because we came in the old tribunal days where you had to sit in front of Bruce Lane and others and convince them that you were of right and proper character to be able to run a radio station, and then all that changed, and we got to buy frequencies and stations that like the Edge and the Rock would never have been what they were without deregulation.
And they're still players today.
Yeah, they are.
They're not players like this place.
No, of course not, Mike.
But they're out there.
They're out there with the hoi polloi. Yes, I know.
Post politics, when you've done what you've done, and you've been the centre of attention in that way, how do you fill your life successfully?
Get busy on a bunch of stuff. I thought I was just going to be a non-executive director forever, and that might be the thing, but. Actually, somebody I think it was in Sydney, had a really good suggestion, was just hang out a shingle and see what work comes your way. And it's been fantastic. I've had a lot of work come my way in Australia and here. And
you want work. You're happy to have
it. I love projects. I love, if somebody else wants to hire me to go on their board to sit there and look like a former finance minister, that's probably not my gig. But if they want me to go on their board or they want me to do a project and they want me to help them get from here to over here, my first question is, well, is where you're trying to go and how can I help you get there? And if the answer to those questions is a bit confused, then I generally don't do it. And so I'm in a lucky position. I get to choose what I do. I've got the garden and the family, and I get to go into my daughter's running events, and that's pretty cool.
You speak very nicely of your children and the time that you're able to spend with them.
Oh, look, I think it was just in time, to be frank. Yeah, it really was. It was. Amelia was 10 when I left, and she had seen very little of her dad. And so I think probably I've hopefully saved some therapy bills with the 5 years since, because we're great mates now, really good mates.
Good.
And Tommy and I are great mates, but in a different way.
Of course, understand. Nice to see you, mate. Go well with that.
Thank you.
And we will get you back on for some commentary, I suspect, probably during the election campaign.
Yeah, apparently there's one coming up.
So I've heard. Nice to see you. Stephen Joyce, 8:22.
The Mike Hosking Breakfast with the new Range Rover Velar. Newstalk ZB. Newstalk ZB headlines.
Confidence from the PM that the country can support Labour's new parental leave policy. Christchurch doctor accused of sharing misleading information about COVID-19. New Zealand's economy gains momentum despite pressures. And in sport, New Zealand ticket sales exceed expectations at the Football World Cup. Plus, Labour and National are becalmed in a sea of voter skepticism.